Hello, everyone. Welcome into your sports here. We're on episode 161. NBA draft lottery is tonight. Already happened maybe 15, 20 minutes ago. So we'll go over the results of that. Hint, hint is rigged, as we all know. But we'll dive deeper into the details of that, the consequences of that. If you haven't heard, breaking news this morning, Giannis is contemplating options outside of Milwaukee. So we'll dive into that a little bit. Plus, WWE Backlash was this Saturday. Did John Cena maintain his title? Some might already know, some might. So we'll go over that as well. So, with all that being said, guys, stay tuned. Back. Let's kick off today's episode with a little bit of NFL news. I think a couple of games have been announced already. The very first game, the kickoff game, is them boys and the Eagles. Lawrence, how do you feel about this? I'm not really a fan of like division games like super early in the season. It doesn't really make sense.
Can you
All
hear
right,
me
we got
now?
you. Yeah, we got you.
Oh, okay. So, in my opinion, I'm also in agreement with you because it kind of feels like you throw away a good divisional game and you make it the first game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it should just be two well matchup teams, duking out first. Most of the time, they do the former Super Bowl champ, but they could have given the Eagles, the 49ers, because they're supposed to make a comeback this season, or an up and comer who wants to take a throne like who they may play. Maybe they play the Bears on the schedule this year. Throw them on there, like just a different team. But like to waste like Cowboys Eagles week one at home when you could have it later in the season where it means more.
Yeah, I think the later in the season the better because a lot of the times these divisional games are make or break it. These are playoff spots on the line. So you have it at the beginning of the season when teams. I mean, you cut the preseason games down. A lot of teams don't even play their stars in the preseason. So like all these games are just these teams treat them as preseason because it's like okay, they can afford to lose a game or two early on. So I'm not really feeling it. The schedule does come out on Wednesday, so either on Wednesday or sometime next week. I guess we'll break down the schedule. But also, I don't think we ever went over the Pickens to the Cowboys trade. I think that happened like last Thursday or a day after we last recorded. So, any thoughts about Pickens to the Cowboys?
Well, you
Do you
knew he
like it?
was.
Do you not like it?
Well, you knew when they brought in DK Metcalf, they weren't going to run him as well. So, I think it's an okay trade. But in reality, I don't think he is going to last in Dallas very long.
Yeah, he's on the last year of his deal, his rookie contract. So he's in his fourth year. I think his fifth year option got declined. So technically, the Cowboys can just let him play out the season. If he doesn't, I guess, produce, they don't have to re-sign him. He becomes someone else's problem if they want to re-sign him next offseason. So, I mean, it's like a B plus. It's like a low risk, high reward type of situation. Um,
100%.
the Cowboys, I mean, they don't really have a running game, so they don't have any option but to pass. So he should get the stats, right? I don't see him not getting stats. He should have at least equal stats as to when he was in with the Steelers, right?
Agree. I would agree again to that, but I also believe he's going to be kind of a cancer in the room kind of situation. And it just kind of felt like it's trying to plug a hole instead of trying to like you perfectly solve or perfectly fill it. They're just plugging it.
Yeah, I get that. It's not really a long term solution. It's just more of a plug and play and hope it works type of thing. So we'll see what happens during the season. But yeah, he's definitely could be a problem for the Cowboys. But so is their owner. Uh, Switching gears to the NBA before we hit on WWE Backlash. The draft was tonight, and if you haven't heard already, you guys could be watching this on Tuesday, so you guys should have already know this. But Dallas Mavericks, a playoff team, a play-in team, I should say, just won the lottery. You can see right here, 1.8% odds to win the number one pick. Um, 2 years in a row, correct? Because the Hawks were also a play-in team last year, and then they drafted number one. They drafted Zachary Ricochet out of France. So
Yes, it
second
is
year
2 years in a
that
row.
a playing team gets awarded with a number one pick. And this scenario is a little bit different just because, the Mavs trade Luka for Anthony Davis, which was, very controversial. A lot of people hated it. And their reward is Cooper Flagg, who's probably the biggest prospect not named Wembanyama since probably Zion, right?
Yeah, maybe, probably bigger than Zion. But he is that Duke come out that is the standout that everyone wants every few years.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts about Dallas with the number one pick? And let's tie in the news from today. Giannis is exploring potentially leaving Milwaukee. He's I guess kind of mulling over his options if he were to leave. He hasn't really indicated he wants out yet, but this is like the first step. This is like the first and second step, basically. Like, okay, I'm thinking about it, and I need to look at teams if I do want to go this route. So, how do you think about it? Do the Mavs keep the pick? Do they trade it? What do you think?
The Mavs lost a white boy to fill in with another generational white boy. So they're keeping it. They're gonna use him. It's a team that's already like pre-built in a way to
Mm-hmm.
just need a leader, a real superstar. And if he can come in and immediately fill that, which I doubt he can immediately, but like he's got at least 2 good years with a team that for until then won't be a complete collapse, and it can only get better season to season, because Kyrie will come back
Yep.
if he
Yeah,
even still
Kyrie
wants
is
to
gonna
play
come.
with them by then.
Yeah, he's gonna be a free agent this year, but I'm expecting probably only the Mavs will show interest in Kyrie. I mean, he might get some interest, but the Mavs probably will be the only team that's going to be willing to give him whatever dollars that Kyrie wants. So I expect him to resign. Then you got Cooper Flag. So I would, even if money wasn't even really a thing for Kyrie, like if he just was just going to go to wherever he see fit, the Mavs at the very least going to have Cooper Flag. At the very least, at the very most, you could go get a KD or a Giannis or whoever else is going to ask out this offseason because a lot of teams are going to covet that number one pick. So, um, yeah, I think the Mavs. I think they traded. I don't really think Cooper Flag fits their timeline. Their team is mostly 30-year-olds. I don't know if you want to inject a 18, 19-year-old who's going to take like probably 2 years to get to like all star level. Like he's going to get fast track like Wemby. Like Wemby was all star this year, so maybe next year Cooper Flag will be like a fringe all star type player. But I don't know if they have 2 years with how brittle everyone's bones are on this team. So I think they traded. Who they traded for, I don't know. Do you think KD's a fit? If you want KD, you can probably just trade the pick, and then that's all. Maybe a little bit of salary filler. I guess Giannis, you probably need to trade the number one pick plus maybe like still probably another pick, and then probably still like another good player. So or Ja Morant, maybe you replace Kyrie with Ja. Like how do you see this going if the Mavs do trade it?
No, I didn't thought anything about that. But yeah, like I do agree. You do bring up some good points about trading the pick and what they already have developed. They have a solid team as it is. They don't really need a pick at the time to develop. They just need to plug in a guy to take them to the promised land. So honestly, what a team really needs, this team needs like a job is super helpful for this team.
Yeah.
Do I give it? Is that too much for Memphis to also be putting on a timeline that they kind of don't follow? Because I mean, we don't want to have Bane and JJ, getting too old, and there is no other kind of life, developing inside of that team that's not already there. So that's also a team that you kind
Mm-hmm.
of have to be weary about, like whether or not they're actually going to make that move.
Yeah, no, I get that 100%. Cooper Flagg's probably a little bit too young. Those guys are both in their mid-20s, so maybe if you're willing to wait 2 years, maybe. But I don't know if Memphis is exactly on that timeline either.
It
The
feels like
Spurs get the
what you're
number.
talking about. Oh, sorry, but it feels like the thing with the Giannis, the Bucks trade. That seems like the most
Mm-hmm,
likely because if you're going to get rid of Giannis, like you're going to have to suffer a few years.
for sure. Running up the top four, the Spurs, the Sixers, and the Hornets. Top four. The Jazz are 5. The Wiz are 6. So the teams that finished the worst records in the NBA are all outside of the top four besides the Hornets. If this isn't rigged, I don't know what do you call this, because this is like the Jazz are terrible and they don't get a top. I don't think they had a top 4 pick last year. They don't have it this year. The Wiz, I think the Wiz picked what 2 last year, so they got Sar. But the Wiz would do Cooper Flagg. It just would have been so good for the city, and the Pelicans would just they just had a lot of injury troubles this year, and no, I mean I can't really. That's the only excuse for them. So, how you feel about the rest of the lottery? Let's start with like the top four, like 2, 3, 4. Do you think that all those teams keep their picks, or do they try to make some moves to try to fast track their teams?
Honestly, if I'm the 76ers, I don't make any moves because seems to be like a pretty deep draft, and it's kind of we kind of have to get on that weary feeling that Embiid ain't it, and
Yeah.
you still have a pretty good maxi, so maybe we can get him a
Yep.
second cohort, and then try to
And
get something else brewing. But I don't think 76ers move their pick. The Spurs definitely do not move their pick. I feel like it's just another talent you can bring. There's a collage of different skill sets, and that team is, I wouldn't want to say in disarray, but like, the coaching, haven't figured it
mm-hmm.
all out. I think this team would just take whatever they can get best available at that spot. But honestly, the fact that the worst teams are just sitting outside there and they're just going to get a little bit lesser talent, even though they need it the most, and that's not how your system's supposed to be worked. Like you can tell when these franchises just get handed on a platter um these tickets to the next land or the promised land. Like what was it 2 years ago?
Promised land.
NHL, the Chicago Blackhawks. They got the number one pick. You knew it was coming. You knew it was some tomfoolery that was going to happen.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree. Going back to these top 4 teams, I think the Spurs probably contemplated. I think if they had gotten the number 1 pick, I think it would have been a 50-50 chance that they traded. But now I'm with you. They probably keep that pick unless they can get a good deal for Giannis with that pick. But I don't really see the Bucks, kind of biting on the number 2 pick. Number 1 pick, they would definitely bite on. Sixers are interesting. I think they're a 50-50 chance. I think if they had been top 6, but 4, 5, or 6, I think they would have probably kept that pick. But at 3, the top 3, 4 players in the draft are all considered generational. At least that's what I've been seeing between what Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, Trey Johnson from Texas, that kid from what was it, Baylor. All these kids are seemingly really good. So I think you're right, Lawrence. You probably got to really think about keeping that pick to just have a young core in place, just in case Joel does his knee just craps out and the surgery doesn't help him. Move any better on the court. A young core of Maxey, McCain, and one of those other young players if they draft them. Seems probably like the best scenario for me. But if they can get a deal that includes moving off of PG's contract, then I would probably do that because Paul George is not it, bro. I think he's just washed. Maybe he needs another season to acclimate to Philly's system, but I think he's washed. Um, the Hornets, of course, keeping their pick. They need to keep on getting talent. Now, our Wiz, it's sad, man. I mean, at 6, you not really. you just gonna have to hope you draft well. And honestly, the Wiz haven't really drafted like super well. Like they're just taking safe picks. Um, so I just feel bad for them. I really do. And then the rest of the lottery, just the usual suspects here, the middle team. So, um, yeah, I mean, it's very easy to see this stuff is rigged. I mean, I'm not really one of those type of conspiracy theorists or people like to say stuff is rigged, but this is so obvious, man. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Do you think that the NBA and all these other leagues like the NHL should get rid of the lottery? Because it's just not. It's not fair that a team with 1.8% chance to get a pick gets the pick over the three teams that suck the most. Like maybe only the top four teams get lottery odds, you know, and then everyone else is just slotted by loss record. Like, do you think there needs to be some change?
If they go through the process of actually proving that it's 1.8, then
Mm-hmm.
I'll believe it and I'll ride with it and I'll go with it. But like the fact that we always seem to see this stuff happening way too often for a 1.8, yeah, doesn't make any sense. I think I would do without it until you can prove and know fully that it is just um, writing on the walls. These teams did actually win it fair and square because I don't believe it.
Yeah, it's just hard to believe.
You
Two
know
years in a
who,
row.
you know how many people who place 1% bets win on FanDuel, and these people are winning all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's very similar. I mean, 2 years in a row, the playing teams win the lottery. So what's there's supposed to be some type of incentive for a playing team to want to, I guess, play harder so that they can, still have a chance to make the playoffs. But why would you, like, when you can still win the lottery? I mean, if that's the case, then Miami should have, really, they couldn't tank no less than Toronto, so they probably would have had the 10th or 11th odds. But they should, so they should have just lost their playing games if they're going to have a chance to keep a flag, just like the Mavs did. Like, I mean, I don't really see the incentive with the playing anymore. It doesn't really make sense because you still have lottery odds. So I think they need to get rid of that. Like I said, the top three need to be the only top three or top four, maybe even top five if you want to make it, somewhat fair, more fair. Um, should have some type of odds associated with it getting number one pick. But uh, and the other weird thing is, like you said, like they don't really show the ping pongs, and it's a complicated process. It's not like every team has one ping pong. It's like they have to like every team has like a selection of ping pong balls, and it has to like they have to get like a certain number right or something like that. They explained it like a year or two ago. It's just really hard to comprehend, and they don't do it live, so it's just really hard to believe that this stuff isn't rigged or anything like that.
Yeah, I just go
And
back
I'm
to the
pretty
fact that
sure,
you. There you go.
no, I was just gonna say, and I'm pretty sure only other than Wimbyama, when they changed it to like the top three at the same odds, I don't think no other top three teams won the lottery. I could be wrong, but I think the Spurs are the only recent team in the top three that have actually gotten the number one pick, and we already know that was rigged, so we can't even really take that with a little grain of salt, you know.
Yep, I agree.
NBA draft is sometime next month after the final, so we'll see if the Mavs keep Cooper Flagg, if they trade him to another team, maybe Phoenix, maybe Milwaukee. We'll have to see. Maybe another team emerges. Uh, but we have another month to keep on speculating. WWE Backlash was this Saturday. I know, Lawrence, you said you didn't really check it out, but you caught some highlights. Um, John Cena, the last world champion, won, even though it was in St. Louis, Randy Orton's hometown, his backyard. It was a good match. I watched it with my parents. They got some vintage Cena. They WWE fans as well, so they liked the match. They thought that Randy Orton was going to win the whole time, but I just had to let them know that John Cena had some tricks up his sleeve, and R-Truth did save his butt towards the end of the match. And then Randy Orton AA's R-Truth at the press conference. But How do you feel about the title match? And do you think Cena's going to go on a little run here? You think he's going to keep the title for a couple more pay-per-views?
I think they're going to keep him with the title for a little longer, just to kind of claim that, like, he is the all-time decorated, and it wasn't just some kind of like one and done thing at the end. But the
Yeah,
whole R-Truth part, I don't know, like the craziness that I'm gonna have to watch R-Truth turn heel on John Cena one day, and then that one's
yep,
gonna be kind of crazy. The R-Truth build-up is pretty nice.
yeah. It's crazy. R-Truth, I mean, he was Cena's biggest fan. It was like he was riding and dying for Cena. Then Cena just slams the man to the table like that. I mean, that's a little crazy. So I think R-Truth got something for Cena. Maybe even tonight. We'll have to see when we watch. But some other matches. Of course, Pat lost to Gunther. He put up a good fight, but I mean, Pat didn't stand a chance. He was getting the shit slapped out of him. I ain't gonna lie. He came on the show today. He had all type of bruises on him. What else? What else? What else? Other than that, I mean the Fatal 4-Way was a good match. LA Knight, Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, and the Samoan Werewolf, Jacob Fatu. That was a good match. Um, then that random wrestling free agent guy, I forget what the guy's name is, but looks like another Samoan's in the mix now with Solo Sokoa. So it looks like the mini bloodline part 2 is gaining some new members. I don't really know what's going on. I don't know if you had a chance to see those highlights, but that was a little wild. I wasn't expecting that.
I did see my boy Dominic Mysterio kept his title against Penta.
Yeah, that was. Yo, Dominic got some moves. I mean, I'm not really a Dirty Dom fan. I know he's your guy, but I, in terms of wrestling, like his technical wrestling skills, like Dom got some skills. Like, oh, I mean, clearly he got some from his dad, but he be doing stuff Ray never did.
Well, he did do the Liv Morgan special as well. I mean, what can I say?
Oh yeah, he did.
Mance is just
Yeah,
a
he did that.
chameleon.
Stealing everyone's moves, bro. Stealing people's moves and doing them even better. Um, I think what else happened? The IC championship match. That was a good match. It wasn't great. It was just good. Um, the Fatal 4-Way. I mean, there wasn't really a lot of matches. It was pretty. I mean, it was only 2.5 hours, so it was like less than like a episode of SmackDown. So not too much going on there. But all in all, it's a good pay per view. Money in the Bank is later this month, so we'll cover that when the time comes. Um, did you want to talk about UFC? Muhammad apparently lost. I didn't watch the fight, but do you want to go over some of the highlights of the fight?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good fight. I mean, Bilal Muhammad didn't do the whole wrap him up, take him down the whole fight. He stood in there, boxed with him. Um, it did feel at the end that they had really given it to Jack, but it felt like Bilal was a lot closer than he actually was. I don't know. It was kind of crazy, and they're going into the fifth round. Yeah, Jack's already won it. Bilal has no chance. I'm like, I mean, kind of, but like Bilal also could have had 2 rounds. It could have gone either way, in my opinion. Valentina
Yeah.
Shevchenko, honestly, it looked like she had scared that girl. It looked like she had not been beaten like that before. So she's that dog. Kept her title. Um, proved her title shot one more time. Jose Otto retirement. When I watched him get gas and he had nothing left for the last 3 minutes of that fight, I think we knew it was over. And the fact that he didn't make weight, big into a legend. Kind of crazy he did it on a whim like that. Alexis Grasso didn't have anything for Natalie Silva. The way that Natalie Silva came out of that gate and just started peppering and crushing her was just insane.
Mm,
Um, Straight out the gate. And by the third round, it fizzled out and it became a typical decision match, but right out the gate, she went at it. And then I'm pretty sure, what was it, Saint Benoit? or St. Denis, sorry. Uh, Clean, straight up knockout on him. He could fight in 2 weeks if he wanted to.
Looks like he ain't get any damage done to him. This other guy looks like he got fucked up. This Canadian guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, the fight was in Quebec, and it didn't go too well for all the Canadian fighters on the card.
Love to see it. Love to see it. Anything else before we head on out? I think it's pretty light news week and weekend, so not too much to cover.
No, I got nothing left. What you got? You got anything?
No, round two NBA playoffs still going on. Nothing really to cover, but I got some thoughts once a couple of these teams lose one more game. So we'll probably go over those later this week or next week. So unless you want to talk about the NHL playoffs, I know round two is going on. The Caps are down 2-1. Game 4 is
Yeah,
tonight.
2-1.
I think the other series are in the second round too.
Yeah, everyone's in the second round. Shocker moves from the Stars. They came into it very lethargic. Kind of had written them off. They're kind of getting their stride right at the perfect time. Followed it with the Panthers for the Panthers. They're in a neck and neck series. Honestly, the Caps, yeah, they did fizzle out. I don't think they have anything for the Hurricanes. I think the Hurricanes take care of business in that end. Um, I'm gonna go. I'm still riding with the Golden Knights um, in that division over the Oilers. But man, the stunner was the Panthers. I knew they could easily beat the Lightning, but I thought the Lightning would put up way more of a fight. And the Panthers, they look dead in the water. But they're staying strong with the Maple Leafs, keeping it in the series.
Fair enough. Hopefully the Caps turn it around. As you can see right now, the live scoring. Caps are down 2-0, so not looking too good. Maybe they can make a run in the second period, but we'll have to see. Other than that, guys, nothing else from me. So we'll call it a show. Thank you guys for watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, and all the other platforms out there. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And we will see you later this week. Peace.